Hey guys, in this video the brilliant Mr. B is going to be showing you how to work out the area of a circle. So 15 different examples here, work through at 3 different levels at a nice slow pace. So you don't have to feel stressed when you're watching this, you don't have to feel worried when you're watching this. Nobody's judging you, nobody's checking to make sure you can keep up. Work through this at your own pace, jumping forwards and backwards as you need to. If you want some more questions to work through to properly check you've understood everything, then that is all waiting for you over on my website.
We're going to find the area of circles. Now, the method for that is to take the area. Now, what we're going to do is that we're going to multiply pi by the radius twice. And if you do that, you're going to get the area of the circle. And by area, we mean a measurement that goes from the edge of the circle to the center of the circle, and it stops right in the middle. So the line only goes halfway across the circle. So it's very similar to find the circumference of a circle, but with a different formula. So for question 1, I would always write the formula down because it's going to help you to learn it and remember it. So the area is equal to pi multiplied by the radius twice. And rather than writing pi times r, a shorter way is to write pi r squared. So we're not writing the multiply signs because in an expression in algebra, if you've got two symbols next to each other, you assume they're being multiplied. And we're not writing multiply by the radius twice, we're just using a little 2 symbol, a squared symbol, to show that we're multiplying the radius twice, or multiplying it by itself. So once we've done that, we are going to substitute. So pi is a button on our calculator, so we don't need to substitute that in. The radius is 61 centimeters in question 1, and we're going to square 61. So we're going to multiply by 61 twice. Now you can either type that into your calculator as it looks here, so press the pi button, press the multiply button, press 6 and press 1, and then press the square button, and that should get you the full answer. Alternatively, you could write it like I've done right at the top, and you could write pi and multiply by 61 and then press multiply by 61 again. It's going to work the same way. And the answer you should get is 11,600, and then it's 689.8662640007. That number will continue. That's because, again, like I talked about on the circumference video, the pi is a irrational number that will continue on forever with all kinds of random numbers in a random order. So what we want to do is round it. Now, but probably best thing to do is round it to 1 decimal place. So 89.8. After the 8 is a 6, so we're going to round the 8 up to a 9. Give us 89.9. And then this is an area, so it's going to be in centimeters squared. Now it's squared because we multiplied 2 sets of centimeters together. We multiplied a 61 centimeters and a second 61 centimeters. So because we use centimeters twice, we have a little squared sign in our calculation. So let's try the same thing with question 2. So always write down the formula. The area is equal to pi multiplied by the radius again. We're going to substitute. We don't need to substitute pi, it's a button on our calculator. The radius is 100, so swap with 100, and we've got the squared sign. We can type that into our calculator. So again, you can either type pi times 100 times 100, or you could write pi times 100 and then press the squared symbol, and you should get the same answer either way. And the answer you should get is 31,415. Then the decimal places, again, there's an awful lot of them, but we're only going to take the first one. The first decimal place is a 9. And again, it's going to be centimeters squared. We multiplied 2 sets of centimeters together. Let's try again with question 3. So again, write down the formula. The area is equal to pi squared. We're going to substitute. Use the pi button on your calculator. The radius will turn into 95, and it's going to be squared. You can type that into our calculator, and that should give you 28,352. Decimal places, I've got an 8 and a 7, then a 3 and a 6, but we've got 8 and a 7 at the start. So I want to use the 8, but there's a 7 after it, so we have to round it up. Round up on a 5 or higher. It'll be 0.9 centimeters squared. Let's continue practicing with question 4. So we have the area is equal to pi r squared. We're going to substitute. So we have pi, we have the radius, and we're squaring it. We can type it into our calculator. So pi times 92 squared, and that should give us 26,590. decimal places, it's 0.4. There's a 4 after the 4, so we're not going to round up, only round up on a 5, and it's centimetres squared. We've multiplied two different centimetre measurements together, the 92 centimetres and another 92 centimetres. Then question 5. Again, I'm writing this down for a 6th time, and the more times you write this down, the better you remember that the area is pi r squared for a circle. We're going to substitute. Don't need to substitute pi, we have a button for it. The radius is 85 and it's squared. So let's type all of that into a calculator, and this always will be a calculated question. And you should get 22,698. And with the decimal places, it's 0.006. So round to one decimal place, it'll be 0.0. If you're specifically asked by the exam to round to one decimal place, then you must write the 0.0. If it's asking for one decimal place, you have to give one decimal place, even if it's a 0. If the exam didn't specify what to round it to and you chose yourself one decimal place, then you could drop off the 0.0 in that case. Moving on to the medium questions. Now, these are the same to start with, so let's write down a method. Find the area of a circle. It would be area is equal to pi multiplied by the radius squared. So we can substitute into that. So we have pi. But then we come on to the radius. Now, the radius is halfway across the circle, but the 114 we've got is a full way across the circle. So we've got twice as much as what we need. And again, radiuses and diameters, they have to stop in the middle, they have to go through the middle. So we've got a diameter and we need a radius. So we'll have to do an extra step of working out. Now, we've discussed before that the diameter is equal to two radiuses together. So working backwards, if a diameter is timesing by 2 the radiuses, then a radius, the opposite of multiplying is dividing. The radius is a diameter divided by 2. So we need to do some extra working out here. So with the diameter is equal to 114. So therefore the radius is equal to 114 divided by 2. And that's going to give us 57. So when we're saying that the area is pi r squared, it's going to be pi times 57 squared. So if you type pi times 57 squared into your calculator, you should get 10,207. And then for decimal places, it'd be 0.3, and we're still working in centimetres squared. Moving on to question 2, the first thing you should notice is that we want a radius and we've got a diameter. We only want to go halfway across for a radius. So let's do that working out first. So the diameter is equal to 176. So the radius would be half of that. So 176 divided by 2. That's going to give us a radius of 88 centimetres. So now we can write down our formula. The area is equal to pi r squared. We can substitute. Pi is a button on a calculator. Just worked out the radius is 88, and that's been squared. So on a calculator, you're going to type in pi times 88 and multiply by 88 again. And you should get an answer of 24,328.5 if we're rounding to one decimal place. And the units will be centimetres squared. And then so my workout doesn't get mixed up, to make it really, really clear that we've got the answer to question 1. I've got the answer to question 2 by underlining the answers. Moving on to question 3, so we'll follow the same process. The diameter is equal to 228 centimetres. We don't want the diameter, which is the full way across. We only want to go halfway across. So we have to divide by 2. So the radius is equal to 228 divided by 2, and that's going to equal 114 centimetres. So then we can write down our formula. The area is equal to pi r squared. We are going to substitute, use the pi button on the calculator, and we're multiplying by 114 squared. Pop all that into your calculator for your final answer, and the answer should be 40,828.1 centimetres squared. Moving on to question 4. So the radius is going to be equal to 154 divided by 2, which is going to give us 77 centimetres. Write down our formula. the area is equal to pi r squared. And I'm going to substitute everything in. Press the pi button on our calculator, multiply it by 77 twice, and we'll get our final answer. So pi times 77 squared should give you 18,626.5 centimetres squared. Now, I'm starting to run out of space, so I'm going to try and do question 5 all in one step. And this is a technique you can use when you're feeling really confident. So the area is equal to pi times a radius. Now, we don't have the radius, we've got the diameter. And the radius is the diameter divided by 2. And that number is squared. So you write this into your calculator, then you should get the final answer straight away. So substitute in, we would do pi times 120 divided by 2. So you can write that as a fraction on your calculator, and that is to the power of 2. So you write it in exactly like that. You should get the final, and that will give you 11,309.7 centimetres squared. Now, the amount of working that you do is dependent on your confidence and the kind of question you're doing. So if the question on the exam is just asking for the area, it's pretty straightforward, just like this. Have your working out look like we've got on question 1, and make sure it's all nice and clear. The examiner can see you're finding each individual section, you've written the formula down, you get a mark for the right formula, you're substituting into the formula, you've got a section where you've kind of worked out the diameter or the radius, depending on which one you need, and you've got your final answer. Something, again, maybe grade 7, 8, 9 question, maybe you've got some 3D shapes involved, maybe there's algebra involved, then you might want to do something more like question 5 and do it much more quickly with less working out. But only do it like that if you're absolutely confident. And what I would do as well is you can see the middle step in blue, where I've written pi times bracket, 120 over 2, close the bracket, and power 2. Make sure all of that is written on the page. So if you do make a mistake, the examiner can see what you did attempt to do if you go wrong, and then you will still get some marks for it. Moving on to the hard questions. Now you can see these aren't circles. We do have curved edges involved. So we know that since we've got curved edges involved, we are going to be using the formula that the area is equal to pi r squared. Now I know there's something else involved here because these aren't circles, but since we've got a curved edge, we're definitely going to be using that. And so I'll start off by working out and substituting in. So we have pi times 73 squared, and just work out what a full circle would be. And that should give you 16,741.547. And I write in more decimal places as usual, because I know that if I continue, I'm going to do some more maths here, so I don't want any rounding errors. I'm going to use more decimal places than I'm actually going to need by the end. Now, what I have found there, I'm just going to highlight in pink what I found. We found the area that's inside the shape, but since this form is a full circle, we've also found some area outside of the shape. So we've got to do some maths now to cut this down, because our answer is too big. We have to get rid of that extra quarter of the circle that we found, because what we've got here is 3/4 of a circle. Now, if I just cut it up into quarters by drawing over it in blue, you should be able to see that it is indeed, I'm just continuing on the radius lines, it is indeed 3 of the 4/4 that we want. So how do we do that? Well, you're going to take the area that we've found, 1,641.547, and what we want to do to find 3/4 is multiply it by 3/4. There's a few different methods for this. You could multiply by 3/4 using a fraction button on your calculator and do this calculation all at once. Alternatively, you could divide by 4 to find 1/4 and then multiply by 3 to find 3/4. So we have that 3 over 4 as a fraction, divide by the bottom number and multiply by the top number. So it's up to you which method you use. And what you should get for your answer is 12,556. And now I am going to round to 1 decimal place, so it's 0.16. I'm going to round up on a 5, so it'll be 0.2, and it's still going to be centimetres squared. And so what we've done now is that we found a smaller answer that doesn't include extra quarter. So we've now got the area of the 3/4 of a circle. Now, looking at question 2, again, we've got a curved shape. It looks like it's derived from a circle. So we're going to have to use the formula. Area is equal to pi r squared. And we'll worry about the shape not being a full circle at the end. Now, I'm going to substitute in. So we've got pi. We're multiplying by the radius. Now, what we've got here is a diameter. So the radius would be half of that. So the radius would be 90 centimetres. So we're multiplying by 90 squared. So make sure you're not multiplying by 180. You have to have a radius. You can only go halfway across for the measurement for the area. Type that into a calculator. So pi times 90 squared, and you should get 25,446. And I'm going to write to 3 decimal places because I know I'm going to do some more calculations with this. So it's 900. So it's 900. There's no point writing down the next 2 zeros. No, that's not actually going to find us the actual answer. That's for a full circle, and we don't have a full circle. So we're going to take 25,446.9. Make sure it's written in the calculator. And this is a semicircle. It's only half of a circle. So we're going to multiply it by a half. Now again, you could either use the fraction button on your calculator, or alternatively, what you could do is divide by the bottom number and multiply by the top number. So you're going to divide by 2, and that's going to find your half. You can multiply by 1, but it's not going to change the calculation. So it's your choice of divide by 2 or multiply by a half. That should give you a final answer, which is 12,723. And into 1 decimal place, it's 0.45. Round up on the 5, so it'll be 0.5. And our answer will be in centimetres squared. Moving on to question 3. Different shape again, but again we've got that curved edge, so we know it's going to be area is equal to pi r squared. We can substitute it, so we're going to do pi multiplied by 113 squared because we've got the radius already from the question, and that should give us 40,114.996. Again, that number's going to continue on, but I want to look at the first 3 decimal places. It's going to go around to 1 decimal place by the end. Now we look at the shape and try and get our final answer. Now it's not a full circle. It looks like it's a quarter circle. So we're going to take our 40,000. I'm going to multiply it by 1/4. Now again, you could divide by the denominator and times by the numerator, so you could divide it by 4 to get 1/4, or alternatively use a fraction button and type in and multiply it by 1/4. So your final answer is going to be 10,028, and the decimal place is going to be 0.7, and again it's going to be centimetres squared. Now, moving on to question 4, it's another quarter circle, and like the previous topics, it is actually possible to do this all on one line. So we've got our formula, the area is equal to pi squared, but we've got a quarter of a circle, so what we can do is we can just put a quarter at the start of that formula, and then when we substitute in, we can substitute in all those numbers all at once and not need to do the second step. So use a fraction button on your calculator for a quarter. We're going to multiply by pi. We're going to multiply by the radius, 88, and that's going to be squared. Alternatively, rather than writing a quarter at the start, a different method might be to write divide by 4 at the end. We want to be very careful with BIDMAS here because that squared sign needs to be done first. So I think the way I've written it, it should be the only way you're doing this, otherwise you risk getting BIDMAS mixed up. Another alternative is that if you're still struggling with a quarter written as a fraction, if you know it is a decimal, 0.25, you can multiply by 0.25 instead at the start. But the answer you should be getting is 6,082, and to 1 decimal place it'll be 0.1, and it'll be centimetres squared. And so we've got the answer in one step, we don't have anything else to do. So we don't now need to multiply by a quarter at the end because we did it in our original calculation. Let's try the same thing with question 5. So the area is always going to be pi r squared, but for this shape we've got half a circle. So I'm going to write in a half at the start instead. Also, we don't have a radius, we've got a diameter. So what you might want to do is an extra step at the start, outside your calculation, and just work out that well, half of 110 will give us a radius of 55. So then we can substitute everything in, and on your calculator we'll do half times pi times 55 squared. That should give you a final answer of 4,751.7, round to 1 decimal place, centimetres squared. So again, we've eliminated a whole section of working out by including the half in our original calculation. Now, which version should you do? So, as usual, I'm going to say, if you're very, very confident, if it's grade 7, 8, 9 question, there's other things you need to be doing. Faster methods, a more simpler way of doing it. If the question is only asking for the area of the 2D object, then you want to spend some time over it, get it nice and detailed, because you can get quite a few marks for it, and the examiner's going to want to see every single bit of calculation that you've done. If you make a mistake, you get plenty of marks if you've done it step by step.
Ouch! This is why in some videos I have explained scratches.